seems that you need to close out the canteen drawer, but you're a little confused on how to do your paperwork. I'm here to help. Once you're done closing the drawer, you will have your Z report and any X reports, and you should have them X reports behind the Z report from the oldest to the original one. So the times should match from the last to the closest to the current time. So this is perfect with the Z on top. Now in the left corner, you will staple this form, but it's very important that you do not staple it until you have it completed and checked by a manager, because only one staple can go through these forms, and if you need to remove it, it's considered bad because you didn't follow the instructions of not stapling this until it was approved by a manager. So make sure you do that. We'll get to the form in a second. You should have your credit card receipts stacked and paper clipped so that they stay together. You can use a binder clip if you have a huge stack. Binder clips can be found in the gift shop and you can clip them on the side. For something like this where the stack is medium sized, you would put the totals report on top underneath the paper clip. Now, in the perfect world, you would have these all stapled. But if your stack is too thick, you should staple the totals report to your debit receipts. But if you look at our totals report today, there was no debit. So in this case, it's okay to attempt one staple. Now, if this staple does not go through, or for some reason the stack is too thick, we're not going to keep stapling. We're going to remove the one staple and go with paper clip. But looks like we made it through. So now that we've got one staple through our whole stack and it's only one staple and it looks neat, we can remove the paper clip and these are now secure. Next, in the canteen specifically, you will have the employee orders. So you have them all here individually. These should stay paper clipped, so if they need to be separated, they can be separated easily. If you had any refunds or payouts, you would do those as well. I think maybe the payouts got misplaced. Found it. Your payout is here. That goes second to last, like so. And the payout should always get a signature on it to certify that you know that you did an accurate payout. So now that we have these all together, we're going to start filling out our form. The form here starts with the date. Today is July 28th, 2019. It's Sunday, and we are in the canteen. I would say the weather for today was sunny. Then you'll write the closing employee. The person that did these, did the register is not myself, but because I'm doing the paper, I'm going to write my name. This closing employee refers to the person who filled out the paperwork, not necessarily the person that did the drawer. So I'll put my name, Rachel. Now we'll need to figure out our closing coin total. So to figure out your closing coin total, we'll have a little math to do. Here on the Z report, near the bottom, it prints all your closing totals right here, where it says close in parentheses. It'll have your opening totals here, and it'll have random totals from the middle of the day here, and the closing totals here. So we already know some of them, so I'm just going to jot them down. We know that our cash, which is bills and coin, came out to $544.34. We also know that our credit was $519.78. Always double check your numbers and make sure you're only pulling numbers from the closing section. A lot of times people accidentally write the shift numbers. That's a no-go. Always get from the closing. So now that we know our cash total, it'll be a lot easier to figure out our coin total, which is the total of only the coins. For that, we'll need to move over to the computer. Once you've closed out your drawer, you can still do this, so even if you've done a Z report, don't worry. I'm going to push F5, and I'm going to go back up to where it says Count Drawer Close, and then I'm going to push Enter. It'll open your drawer, so watch out. You're going to go over here to the Currency button, and it's going to have all of the numbers you just put in still there. Look, it even matches. We know 544.34 is what we closed with, and it says that number right there. So since we know the cash total and we have it written down and we need the coin total, I'm simply going to go where the cash starts, which is the dollars. I'm not going to touch all the stuff up here, penny, nickels, and quarters. And I'm just going to make all the bill amounts 0. Again, only do this when you've Z'd out your drawer. So now we have our coin total, which I'll jot down. Coin comes out to $5.34. So now that we know our cash and our coin, we can very simply find our bill total by subtracting the 2. So it's going to come out to $539.00 because bill is only your bill. So in another word, these two, your coin plus your bill equals your cash. And you should always double check your math before you write it down. And I know those are accurate. And I also know that my debit, DB or ATM, was 0. So now we'll move back to the form since I have my numbers ready to go. So here, the first one, it will ask you after you fill out the date and your name, and that information will be the coin total. So I'm going to go ahead and put $5.34 because that was the coin total. Now, really important step here is to keep the decimals lined up. So once I put my first decimal down, I go down and put in all of the decimals for the rest of the lines. That way, it will always look neat. It's very important those decimals are straight. Next, we have the closing bill, which I also wrote down. Again, it's your cash minus your coin. So our bill total, and line up the numbers here as well, $539.00. So yeah, those are almost perfectly lined up. Then you'll fill in your cash. We had $544.34. And really easy to double check your numbers. Look at those top two, make sure they add up to the bottom number, and you know you have the right numbers there. Our ATM total we know is 0. The way I found that out is because on the totals report there was nothing in the DB column, which represents debit, and also on our closing paper here there was no debit applied. So now we'll do the closing credit, which is here, and I wrote it down. So we have $519.78. Again, making sure your numbers are close to perfectly lined up. For checks, you can look on your Z report. We have the check here as 0. Closing total. And that one can be a little tricky. For the closing total, you need to look back on your Z report. It'll be near the top right here. It'll say closing total. Now directly underneath closing total is one that says total. That can confuse people. What it means is the total is how much money you made plus your opening total, which we don't want to include. We know that we started with $167.50. So your closing total is the actual amount of profit you've had in the day. So that's the one, and it's labeled for you, closing total. So make sure it's always that one. $1,064.12. And again, my numbers are almost perfectly lined up. Now we're going to look at the over short total. So here we were short 22 cents. If we were over, there would not be a negative sign. That's the only way to tell the difference. You're going to have to go down to your paperwork and circle whatever you were. So we were short. Since we were short 22 cents, I'm going to circle short and put 22 cents. You do not need to put a negative symbol here because you circled what it was. Now we're going to do the tax total. The tax is pretty simple up here, just is called tax. To find the one that says tax, which is $66.10. Jot that in. And then you're going to bring this to your closing manager to check your paperwork. Since I am the closing manager and I know I did it right, I'll put my own initials there. But you will need to bring this paper to your closing manager and ask them to check it. Once they've approved it and they've initialed it, we're going to apply the one staple. Again, very important, one staple in the very upper left corner. Get it as neat as you possibly can and staple the upper left. Beautiful. Now that we have that ready, directly behind it goes your totals report and your receipts in whatever fashion you were able to do them, preferably stapled, possibly binder clipped. Next, we're going to put in the payout. Make sure the signature is on the payout. Put it there. Next comes the employee receipts, paper clipped, and they go there. So hold the papers carefully so they stay in a nice stack. And now I have all the papers here. I'm going to go ahead and grab some paper clips. I'll probably use 3. I'm going to put the first paper clip about halfway through the stack to make sure everything is secure. And then I'm going to do the tri-fold method. So you'll lay your papers like this, face down, put this one side till it's touching the edge of the receipt or the longest portion of your paperwork. Fold that back once more like that. Fold it tight. And then apply another paper clip over here so that you hold both of those sections in, like so. And it looks like 2 paper clips is fairly secure, but just to be safe, I'm going to add a third straight down on the top. Just make sure that I know my papers aren't going to fall no matter what happens to them. So once you have your stack and it's nice and as cleanly stacked as possible, you're going to put it into your money bag. The money should be stacked with the biggest bills on the top and the smallest bills on the bottom. They should be sectioned and rubber band if you had any match the number of stacks, which we'll go over in another video. If there's no bundles, as we call them, then it'll just have 2 rubber bands, one on either side. This brick, as we call it, will go in there, and then you'll put the closing paperwork right next to it, like so. If you had a check, you would put the checks in there loose in between your papers and your money. But today we didn't have a check. The coins are always in there loose, mixed together, no problem with that. Once you have your bag zipped and your opening total bag is zipped, you will take them both and use a big rubber band, almost always blue, rubber band them together and turn them into your closing manager. One thing in food service that we do that we don't do anywhere else is we write down what we were on the post-it note here so that the closing manager has an easier time sending the nightly report. So I know we were short 22 cents. I forgot the closing total already, so I'm going to peek back in my bag really quick. 106,412. So we got 106,412. Is that really right? That is a big number. It was a great day in the canteen today. Oh yeah, that is possibly a new record. So once you have that there, give it a little circle so your closing manager can find it, and you can turn your bags in.